Just underway in the Sharpie 500. NASCAR on TNT from Bristol Motor Speedway in Tennessee, and already under the second caution. Came out at lap 24 when Brett Bodine got spun around up in 3 and 4.
Looks like he might have got tapped a little bit there, BP, from the 40.
I don't know. I thought there was a big gap in there, but maybe you were right. Maybe.
I vote for the tap.
Vote for the tap. And there was contact. Is that our phrase for the night? He got some help.
Yeah, got some help. That's the phrase.
Yes.
And you see Rick Mast got collected by Jason Leffler. Watch Mast, see right there, top right. Mast car then smoking heavily. He went to pit road. Matt Kenseth, John Andretti, Johnny Benson also pitted. Well, let's see.
Wow,
yeah.
say there's a little help.
Oh,
Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty is charged.
Very definitely going in the corner.
Keep digging. Go, go, go. Caution.
Mark Martin. We're looking on the rear bumper of Mark Martin's car as he gets tapped by the 12.
And there's the contact there between Leffler and Mast.
Man, there's a lot of pieces coming off that 01.
Marty?
Yeah, and you guys are exactly right. Mike Hillman, the crew chief for Brett Bodine. Very animated conversation with Tony Glover, the team manager for Sterling Marlin. Almost came to shoving, and I would watch out if these two get near each other later in the evening. To Matt Yoakum.
The early trouble for Kurt Busch, his transmission was stuck in second. They brought the car in, they got the linkage to let loose, and now the transmission's fine. But look at the big break he caught here. This was his left front tire. You can see how the fender was cutting in. They pulled the fender away, and now the car's fine.
Green flag.
Oh, Ricky Rudd got a tough break. Being caught on the outside of the 11 car, Brett Bodine.
Oh, trouble behind him. Jerry Nadeau got pinched in turn 4. He's gone around.
And no caution flag this time.
Not yet. Away they go. Nadeau tried to get into 4 underneath Todd Bodine, and Todd closed the door. So Brett Bodine is now a lap down in 39th position. Buckshot Jones in the 44. You'll see him in the mix of the crowd. He's also a lap down. He's in 40th. Kurt Busch is 2 laps down in 41st. Rick Mast and Jason Leffler have both gone behind the wall. That's a shame for Brett. They had a lot of high hopes for tonight's race. Talking with Mike Hillman this afternoon as crew chief, and our aerial views at Bristol, courtesy of the United States Army, an Army of 1.
Brett Bodine right now, the 11 car is running on adrenaline and anger. I mean, he's hot, and he's going to show these guys that he had a race car that could run up front. He said, look at this, I'm in front of Ricky Rudd, and he can't even catch me.
Well, let's talk about, you're behind the wheel, you've been hit, you've been spun around. Your spotter and your crew chief are both saying, calm down, calm down.
Well, BP is right. He is mad, and all he's doing right now is looking for that 40 car. If he can get back to that 40 car, he'll probably let him know how he feels about it. But that's just typical of this place. It is so tight. If a guy checks up in front of you a little bit, if you don't hit him, you're probably going to get hit. It's just a big chain reaction here when you got everybody on the racetrack running right now.
It's a passing flag you saw the starter waving. Warning the lap cars that there are lead lap machines around them. They need to give way.
Now Brett Bodine, after a couple of laps, Rusty Wallace finally gets on the underneath of Ron Hornaday, takes a spot away. Todd Bodine follows. Here comes Ward Burton.
Hornaday was 8th. He's going to be 11th, maybe 12th by the time he gets back in line.
I mean, in just 1 or 2 corners, you can lose 4 or 5 spots that easy.
Now Rusty working on the lap car of Kurt Busch.
Your car's got to work around the bottom of this racetrack. I keep saying that, but the only way you're going to win a race at Bristol is if you can stay down on the bottom, almost to where that asphalt there meets the concrete. You've got to be able to run there. So when the guy in front of you moves up the racetrack, if he's running just 3 or 4 feet higher than that line, you'll be able to sneak your nose underneath him, pull up beside him going down the straightaway. Once he's on the outside, that's it. He's in trouble. It's your corner.
Watching Ron Hornaday, the 11th place car, try and deal with the lap machine. You've got Hornaday in 11th, Bobby Hamilton in 12th. The yellow car is Ken Schrader in 13th. Right behind them is Jeffrey Bodine in 14th, and that is a change for 9th. Ward Burton by Todd Bodine. Ward started in 14th, so he's picked up 5 spots.
See Kurt Busch out there a couple laps down. We've talked about his transmission trouble, and it couldn't happen at a worse time for Kurt Busch. After all, his sponsor, Sharpie, the sponsor of the race, so you know that they wanted to do well tonight, if not win the race for their sponsor.
How about the bumper on the back of Robert Presley's car?
Well, somebody has run in the back of Robert Presley and broken the rear bumper, and it's okay as long as they don't break the other side off. It starts dragging, then he probably will get black flagged for it.
And that probably happened on one of those incidents a little bit earlier on that chain reaction deal.
Maybe when Brett Bodine spun over there?
Yeah, I believe it did.
Little jab back in traffic as Dale Jr. tries to pick his way through. This is 29th place. Mike Wallace in 29th. Jr. in 30th.
Well, Junior got a great run that time on the bottom of 3 and 4, dove to the inside of Mike Wallace.
Remember, Junior's got fresher tires on. He stopped under that caution a little bit ago. Steve Park back in 27th place. Matt?
Alan, the concern down here in the park pit is not about lap traffic or muscling his way through traffic. It's about radio communications. Apparently, Steve is having trouble with his radio. He cannot hear his crew chief, Paul Andrews, so they're having to relay messages through their spotter, Stevie Reeves, the open wheel ace from Indiana. Currently, he says the car is a little bit warm, water is 230, but the biggest concern is the radio communication. And Wally Dolmack, as you know, Bristol's a tough place where you've got to have a lot of communication to try to dial your race car in throughout 500 laps here.
Yeah, it really is. And I'll tell you another thing is that it's hard to hear your crew even when they're talking to you, because they're listening to all that noise outside the racetrack, and everybody's having a hard time hearing. So really a tough deal. And you really need to stay on top, especially this time of the race. You need to make that important adjustment right now when you come to that first pit stop. It's real important to get the car dialed.
Jeff Green, the leader, in some heavy lap traffic. Jeff Gordon, Ricky Rudd, the other top 5, trying to pick their way through as well. Here's our Wendy's race menu. Talk about going from the frying pan into the fire. Bristol to Darlington. The tough old lady in black, track too tough to tame, whatever you want to call it. It's the Southern 500. Next Sunday, you'll see it on TNT.
And Jeff Green, Mike Skinner, Elliott Sadler, they are in heavy, heavy traffic. Although Jeff Green, the leader, has cleared most of it, has worked clear of most of the traffic. As you can see, he's in clean racetrack.
He has just put Johnny Benson a lap down, the 35th place car. Mike Wallace has also gone a lap down. Joe Nemechek, Jerry Nadeau. Those cars all just overtaken by leader Jeff Green. And let's also mention that Rick Mast is back on track after time behind the wall. He's 31 laps down in 42nd place.
But I tell you, as Jeff Green was working his way through that traffic, a couple of times it was very, very close. He would try to go on the inside of someone. They would come down the hill.
Jeff Green in tonight's race, which is in its very young stages, has already led more laps than he has in his entire NASCAR Winston Cup career to date. He'd only led 15 laps before. He's led 62 tonight, now make it 63.
And all of a sudden, Johnny Benson is coming back up and is trying to repass the leader, Jeff Green. So right now, the 30 car is not exactly what he wants.
Fresher tires for Johnny. He was on pit road under that last caution at lap 25.
And Jeff Green in clean racetrack is about 3 or 4 miles per hour slower now than he was just 30 laps ago.
Well, Well, Johnny knows he's got to stay in sight. He's got to, if he can't pass the 30 car, Jeff Green, he's got to stay as close as possible, because if the yellow does come out, the only chance he's going to get is getting by the 30 car before he gets back to the line, taking the yellow to get his lap back. Now here Jeff said, hey, I want you off my bumper, go ahead.
And so Benson gets back on the lead lap. 35th place car speeds at the line.
And that's actually a pretty smart move on Jeff's point. This way he's got him out of his rearview mirror. Just let him go.
You saw the laps that Green was having to mess with Benson. Skinner was clicking off faster speeds and was coming through. There's Dale Jr. on fresher tires than Jeff Burton, moving through him.
Michael Waltrip, the Napa car, going by Jeff Burton. All this is back for about the 30th position.
And they better get going. Guess who's coming in the rearview mirror? The leader.
And Buckshot Jones is spun down the front straightaway.
Caution.
That was close.
Third caution of the Sharpie 500 is out. Lap number 69. Pit stops here for the leaders, I would think.
Yep, I bet they come in now.
Yeah. And now it'll be interesting to see what Benson does, since he's got the fresher tires, if he stays out for the track position. We'll cover the pit stops when we come back to Bristol in a moment. Jeff Green's the leader. You're watching NASCAR on TNT.